for May 8, 2024. I am Regent Don Flores, Chair of this committee. The time is 11:03 Central Daylight Time. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Secretary of State as required by Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Code, Chapter 551. Please note that the audio of this meeting is being broadcast live. Before we take a roll, I would like to remind everyone to please mute their phones unless you need to speak. Malu, let's begin the roll call with committee members and any other regents.
Thank you, Chair Flores, and I see that you're present. Regent Faskey?
I'm here.
Thank you. Regent Long?
Present.
Thank you. Student Regent Kelvin Elger?
Present.
Thank you. Do we have any other regents on the call? Okay, moving to our system staff, Chancellor McCall?
Present.
Nelly Herrera?
Here.
Daniel Harper?
Here.
Carol Fox?
Here.
Sean Cunningham?
Here.
Sandy Poole?
Here.
Derek Alexander?
Here.
Piers Mitchell?
Here.
Do we have any other system staff on the call? Thank you. Moving to our Thank you, Ramona. Moving to our institutions and starting with Lamar University.
Jaime Taylor,
Mark Robinson.
and that's all for Lamar.
Thank you. Sam Houston.
Elisa White.
And Amanda Withers.
Great, thank you. Moving to Saul Ross.
Carlos Hernandez.
Thank you. Texas State University.
Kelly Damphus.
And Eric Algo.
Pranesh Ashwath.
Thank you. LIT.
Sid Valentine and Mary Wickland.
Thank you. Lamar State College Orange.
Wendy Elmore, Tom Johnson, and Mary Wickland's listening in.
Thank you. And Lamar State College Port Arthur.
Betty Renard and Mary Wickland.
Great. Did I miss anyone? Okay, that concludes roll call. I'll go ahead and turn it to you, Chair Flores.
Thank you, Malu. With that, I'd like to note that Nelly Herrera briefed me on the agenda items prior to the meeting. At this time, I ask that Nelly present the Rules and Regulations Committee agenda items. Nelly?
Thank you, Chairman Flores. Today, we'll be discussing revisions to two existing rules. The first recommended rule change relates to retirement plans discussed at Chapter 5, Paragraph 2.3. The modifications to the rule are located on page RR1, or if you're following along in the board book, it's board book page 433. The rule change is proposed by our TSUS Vice Chancellor and CFO, Daniel Harper. Daniel, would you like to lay this one out?
Yes, ma'am. So from an administrative perspective, this rule separates out retirement plans and recognition of service. The language for recognition of service is not changed, it's just moved. And then for retirement plans, we're updating the system rules to reflect the current legal landscape in Texas regarding the state pension, the optional retirement program. The other thing we are doing here is regarding tax sheltered annuities. The board, for as long as I've been here, has approved tax sheltered annuity plans at the system level, yet the board rules reflected that it was at an institutional level. And so we're updating the rules with regard to tax sheltered annuities to reflect that it is at a system program and not an institutional program. And that concludes my summary.
Thank you. Chair Flores, if there are any questions for Daniel, we can take them now. Otherwise, I can move on to the next item.
Regents, do you have any questions regarding this item? Nelly, please proceed to the next item.
Thank you. So the second and last item actually relates to privileges extended by a component to a retired full-time faculty member. The proposed changes are to Chapter 5, Paragraph 4.10, parentheses 3. This item is located at page in the handout, RR5, or in Board Book page 437. The rule change clarifies that retired full-time faculty members who receive certain campus privileges must be in good standing at the time of retirement. The proposed modification to the rule also confirms that by extending these privileges to a faculty member, a component is not creating a property interest in such privileges for the retired faculty member. In other words, the privileges extended are at the discretion of the component and should not be considered an entitlement. Chair Flores, unless there are any questions to this item, this concludes the items on today's agenda.
Thank you, Nellie. Regents, are there any questions regarding this item?
None here.
Thank you. Regent Foskey, are there any items that you would like to move off the consent agenda for consideration by the full board?
No, not at this time.
Regent Long, are there any items that you would like to move off the consent agenda for consideration by the full board?
No, there's not.
Thank you. As no one is requesting that we move any items off the consent agenda, Regent Foskey and Regent Long, I move that we recommend board approval of the proposed changes to the system rules on the consent agenda. Regent Foskey, do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Regent Long, do you agree?
I agree.
Thank you, Regent Foskey and Regent Long, for your responses. Considering those responses, the proposed changes to the system rules will remain on the consent agenda with the committee's recommendation for approval. As there are no further items to consider, this concludes the business of the Rules and Regulations Committee and concludes today's telephonic meeting. Thank you to everyone for calling and taking part. And for the record, the time is 11:10 a.m. Thank you,
Thanks.
and we'll see you next week. Safe
Thank
travels.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
All righty.